How are you?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Two, 2 minutes.
So, pardon?
2 minutes.
Okay,
Sorry about this.
it's all right. What are we live
We're live on StreamYard. Hello, good evening. We have got Sheila Byrne here. Sheila, could you tell everybody what you do, please?
Yeah, sure. So, we are a lived experience and holistic mental health and wellbeing organisation. So, what we mean by that is if housing is the issue, before your mental health. So we use Maslow's hierarchy of needs to get to the root of the problem
Right.
that's causing your mental health, because often it's not the mental health that's the issue, it's outside factors that cause the mental health problem. So
Yeah.
we get to the root of the problem first, and then what we do is we offer support around the root of the problem. So
Okay.
if it's housing, we have a letting agent who rehouses. We have food bank vouchers that we can supply so people can go and get the food for the week. Then we have the other alternatives as well. So it's the feeling safe factors and feeling like you belong. So there's the group and peer support sessions. Then alongside that, we have everything that the people at Hope Street want to see happen in order for them to improve their mental health. So we'll bring different people in. So we'll have guest speakers who've lived experience of mental illness, who will come in and speak about their journeys and how they've recovered. We have people who come in who are still in recovery, so who have the odd days where they have little meltdowns. But we also have different activities going on as well. So we've had a 4-week program at the moment to help people through lockdown, giving them strategies to help them get through it, as well as crafts included in that. So we did an origami session last night. We've done triggers.
All right.
Yeah, so we've spoken about triggers. We've done some neuro-linguistic programming. We've got wreath making, Christmas wreath making, Christingle and Christmas carols in Spanish. We're just basically doing all different things to tap into what people's interests are, to let them try different things to see what helps them. So we have yoga, we have meditation, mindfulness, singing. So there's something called Holistic Harmonies. They come in and do some harmonies with us as well.
Do you have a day centre then, do you? Is it a day centre?
We don't have a day centre yet. We're looking to open our own day centre, but our sessions are different to everybody else's because we're open in the evening.
All right,
So
okay.
people who work can have access to it, or people who rely on a person who works to bring them can have access. Then there's also the carers perspective as well. So carers can come along and see what it's like from a person's point of view who has a mental illness or mental health disorder as it's known now. So they can see it from their perspective, plus they can also see it from another person's perspective who's helping somebody through the process. So who's helping somebody on their journey.
It's difficult with mental illness because I remember when I was going through it, and I went to Minds. I went to a day centre called Minds, and it was a day centre that did different games and counselling and all sorts there, and they were really helpful. And the trouble is now is that we're in lockdown, and the trouble is it's so difficult because every mental health and comes involved because people are living, there's people like couples living, with each other, and there's people living on their own, and especially Christmas is coming up,
Mhm.
you know. And I just read today that around about what was it, 500 people last week commit suicide of mental health.
Wow. Well, do you know, that doesn't surprise me, to be fair, Steve, because we had an incident last night where one of the young women was actually speaking about taking her own life. We were on the phone to the crisis team while she was at Hope Street trying to get her some support. And that's why what we do at Hope Street is so important, because they close. So there was no support for her,
Mm,
no face-to-face support, other
mm,
than being able to pick the phone up in the middle of the night. And from being there myself, I know for a fact that if I'm living on my own, like she is, there's no way I'm going to pick the phone up in the middle of the night to say I'm suicidal.
mm.
You know, when
Yeah,
I was suicidal, I took myself out in the middle of the night to do it.
yeah, yeah.
I'm fortunate that my husband heard me leaving the house, you know, but
Mm,
I was lucky in that sense, but this poor girl's living on her own.
yeah, yeah,
And that's what concerns me. There's a lot of people out there at the moment who are desperate, who are splitting up with their partners, going through
yeah,
domestic abuse as a
mm,
result of this, because domestic abuse is, it happens in so many ways.
yeah.
It's not just physical.
It's gone up. It's gone up. The rates of domestic abuse. It's gone up. And I was talking to a reporter the other day. It's gone up like 60%. And it's really bad. Even and we've got to be so careful now. Because I'm afraid, everybody's got pressure. They're staying in together, and as I said, Christmas is coming up. You
Yeah.
know,
You
everybody.
know, if people have been finished up from work, which a lot of people have been through, I don't know the statistics on how many people that have been finished up from work as a result of this, but there's the financial implications as well.
Mm,
And I know for a fact that I've been helping do benefits forms with people.
mm.
That's the other thing.
Yeah,
So
how many people you've been helping them with the benefit forms and
So I've only done about 5 of late, but
mm,
still, it's 5 more than what I would be doing
yeah,
ordinarily. But it's
yeah,
just giving them that support and knowing what to write on the forms from a lived experience perspective. So everybody that works at Hope Street has lived experience, but we're also professionals.
mm,
So, for instance, myself, I'm a teacher. One of our trainers, she's a trainer at the women's organisation. We've got our own mental health nurse. So we've got so many different people. We've got our letting agent.
yeah,
We've got a poet. We've got writers who work there. And they're all volunteers, and so we have got a lot of people, who work with us. But we're not just an organisation of people with lived experience that have opened up. We're all professionals as well.
yeah,
So
yeah, mm,
yeah, our chair, for instance, used to be a director in the NHS mental health.
mm,
So
mm,
yeah, so we've got a good board of people, and
yeah,
and everything is confidential. So although I'll speak to you about a person, the name won't be mentioned,
yeah.
unless that person gives permission.
That's right. That's the way to do it.
But
I
I
want
mean,
to. I want to talk
I
about I want to talk about the crisis team for a second.
yes.
Okay. Now, I have in the past, because I had mental health issues. I've been in the paper because I committed suicide. I've been on television. I've done everything, right? But the trouble is, I particularly one time went to a bridge near where I used to live, and
Mm-hmm.
I nearly jumped off it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm not going to go into the story about it, but I felt really, really, really low. Then the police arrested me on the Mental Health Act,
Mhm.
and they took me in. They did everything. The next minute, they said we've got to wait for the doctor to come. The doctor came. The next minute, they said we've got to wait for the crisis team to come around. Now, and you know what the crisis team done? I'll
Sent
tell
you
you what.
home.
Yes, they sent me home. They said there was not enough beds into this into the unit, and what they did promise was that someone will come and visit me in the next few hours. I didn't get a visit until the following morning. I was really suicidal. My partner was doing it was doing her head in. It was really bad. So what do you think about the crisis team? Do you think more needs to be done?
The police don't really know what's expected of them. First of all, that the police, at the end of the day, they're not medical professions, so they're only following the Mental Health Act, and the
Mm,
Mental Health Act states that this is what you do. You take the
mm,
person who's going to throw themselves off a bridge. In our case, one of our members was going to throw himself in front of a train. So you're taken to hospital and you're kept there for a few hours. And then the crisis team come and see you.
yeah, yeah,
And in the case of our member, who I know I've dealt with, was sent home
yeah.
alone. Bearing in mind, he painted himself from head to toe white and slashed his whole body, so there was blood pouring out of his wounds.
Mm,
Um, and that's exactly what happened. He was sent home and said that he wasn't a risk to himself and he wasn't a risk to other people, because in order to be sectioned, you had to be a risk to yourself or a risk
yes,
to other people.
yeah.
But they didn't deem him to be a risk when he tried to throw himself in front of a train, and he was cut and painted white. Now, he turned round and said he was fine, but no, common sense prevails. If somebody has tried to throw themselves in front of a train and they're covered in white paint and they've got paint, red cuts all
Mm,
over them and they're bleeding, then that tells you that a person is quite serious
of
about
course.
taking their own life. So,
Did you
yeah.
look into that then?
Pardon?
Why he was sick? Did you look into that? Why he was sent home?
I did ring. Yeah, I did ring, and they said they couldn't discuss it with me.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I was
yeah,
expecting that response. Yeah,
yeah. And his mum also rang and was told the same because he was an adult.
yeah, yeah.
But one of our ladies yesterday was sent home from hospital, who should have been admitted because she was saying she was going to kill herself.
Sad,
Um,
isn't it?
yeah, and you know, I understand, about people being overworked and the lack of space because the mental health crisis and everything else. But I mean, I know from our organisation, um, we've got we've had 40 odd thousand engagements since going into lockdown in March.
God,
That's a lot of people,
yeah.
you know. But and we're doing this. We're offering our services free of charge.
You
And
don't get any funding then?
well, we had funding last year, but that's coming to an end. So we're like, getting pretty desperate now for funds. And I've just had an email back tonight to say we've been rejected on another funding bid, um, which is disappointing because we're saving thousands. So there's a database that I use to show how much I'm saving the DWP or, you know, by getting somebody into education. So I've got case studies where I've shown that I've got a young lady into higher education by offering the support who wasn't going to be able to go because she was too mentally ill. She's now working part-time, and she's no longer under mental health services. And the database shows that I've actually saved, made a lifetime saving for this young lady. I had to have to get my database up, but I've saved them about £1 million just with 3 case studies.
It's
Yeah,
really bad, though, isn't it? It's really bad.
yeah, but I
Mm.
can't get any funding, you know. But I'm saving millions of pounds, billions, by offering our service.
The trouble is, though, Sheila, with mental illness, people think, you know, mental illness is just, you know, it would just come and it would just go, and people don't look at it. If it was cancer, I'm not trying to be rude, my dad's going through cancer. If it was cancer, leukemia, and everything, everybody's there.
Yeah.
The trouble is, Sheila, I've suffered with mental illness. Professional people, actors. I was speaking to an actor the other day. He was on a popular soap, and he said to me that, "Hey, Steve, I was, you know, suffering with mental illness. I nearly committed my suicide on set, you know, and but there's not enough funding going around."
No, there isn't. You know, I mean, I'm not doing this interview as a ploy to get funding or anything, but it's shocking, you know, that we take people on camping retreats. It'd be great to get a van to be able to drive that van so as everybody can get there in one place at one time, so as we take the anxiety out of the travelling for them as well. You know, I've bought a tent so as we can take them camping. So I can take 15 people camping in that tent, you know, as well as my own tent that I've got. So, you know, people are going to get to go on holiday that haven't been on holiday in a long time as well.
How did you get started? Tell us how you got started.
So in 2016, I had a nervous breakdown,
Okay.
to the point where I was incapacitated. I couldn't do anything for myself, and that was due to workplace bullying, plus a number of life events that had occurred throughout my childhood and adult life. So I ended up having this breakdown, and I can't remember getting home from work. So that was January 2016, after being bullied for about 12 months. Then my husband, when I started to get better, was saying, what can we do to help other people? So we did charity events and put the money into a place where I was going for my support, which was in Skelmersdale. But we said there's nothing in Ormskirk and there's nothing of an evening. So those people who work and those people who rely on their partners to bring them or loved ones to bring them can't access anything because they won't come on their own. So what can we do differently that other people don't do? So we said, well, we'll open one in our locality, which is Ormskirk, because it's classed as an affluent area, and affluent areas, you know, do suffer with mental health problems, believe it or not. So we did that, and it was my husband who came up with the idea, actually, to open Hope Street, and he came up with the name and everything. And then we both started off doing it, but as time's gone on, I've become more and more confident. My illness has improved. So I was diagnosed with 4 mental illnesses, as well as insomnia. And I didn't used to be able to speak. I couldn't walk a couple of feet without having to be aided. And that's how badly the illness affected me. And then when I did begin to speak, I had to stutter. So I wouldn't speak because I was embarrassed. Then I wouldn't leave the house. I used to hide when I had hair the doorbell going. I wouldn't open mail. Like there was loads of things that I just wouldn't do, but there was things I couldn't do as well. So gradually, bit by bit, I started to go out and open the back door. Then I started to go out into the back, and then gradually I started to open the front door and just build up baby steps bit by bit, getting myself in the outdoors. And then I got to about 2017, I think. Quite a lot of it's a blur. About a year living with the illness, and I just thought, I just can't take this anymore. I can't live with this illness anymore. I'm not living, I'm existing. So I took myself out in the middle of the night and tried to throw myself off the bridge. Then my husband found me, stopped me, and I tried to throw myself in front of a lorry. And then again, he managed to stop me, and I tried to throw myself in front of an SUV, a big car anyhow. And, you know, he got me home, and there were people passing by, you know, go and call the police and so on. Luckily, I had my husband there, otherwise I'd have been sectioned that night. And it wasn't until I got to that point where I started receiving proper support in terms of, you know, she needs something more than CBT. She needs something more than counselling. So she's been through all this. So she's now going to go through psychotherapy, which again I went through, but it didn't work. And I told them it worked basically so I could get off the books because it was draining me. So I went through my own little thing of, I went onto a coaching program. So I went and got my coaching certificates, and that started to build my confidence. Went back to university and continued with my studying. And my confidence was building bit by bit. And then whilst I was at university, I found a theorist called Daniel Goleman who studies emotional intelligence. And basically, I found out that there's a correlation between low emotional intelligence and mental illness. And basically, what I've been through in my life has caused trauma, which has caused an amygdala hijack. And my brain goes into crisis, and my frontal lobes don't function the same when I go into crisis. And that's why I lose the ability to speak. I become irrational. I get agitated. So I have all these different behaviours that happen as a result of trauma that I've been through. And
What's the pressure? What's the pressure? Is it a pressure on your relationship with your husband?
I have to say he's brilliant. He
Good.
really is. I couldn't have wished for anyone better to support me throughout it. I remember a friend of his saying to him, if that had been me, I'd have walked by now. So it, you know, and because people just don't understand it.
No, they don't. You got to go through mental illness to understand things. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why we're a lived experience group, and that's why everybody who works with us has lived experience, because everybody's been there and walked in those shoes, so knows what you're going through, which is the difference. Because when I'm not calling NHS services, but when I went to NHS services, they couldn't relate to what I'd been through and my feelings. So they couldn't get to the bottom of me. I was too complex for them. Whereas if somebody comes to me now and says to me they were abused as a child, I can actually relate to what they're going through. And I'll say, oh, do you feel like this? And do you feel like that? It's normal to feel like that. I felt like that. However, because I've done this and I've been studying emotional intelligence and teaching it, then, you know, I understand why I've been through that, and I understand myself better now.
Yeah.
So I have better self-awareness and social awareness now. And whereas at one time I was a bit too kind. I mean, kindness is great, but when you have too much empathy, that's low emotional intelligence. So you can do too much for people and get taken for granted as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
When you have a mental illness, and you find that people with mental illness are very, very kind and very giving.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where they gotta. That's where they gotta watch out for, because I know somebody used to who joined my support group. I've got a support group called
Oh,
Never
right.
Give Up. Never Give Up on Facebook.
Yeah.
And what we do, we kind of like meet on Skype every so often. And what it is, we had somebody, and she's saying, oh, I'm going to do this for everybody. I'm going to buy this. And I said to her, no, you're not. Because what they do is she buys things to buy friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's part of the vulnerability.
Of course it is. And that's what I told her. And what it was, and I said to her, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. If you want to do something for the group, keep attending, keep coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said to her. Okay, or send us Christmas cards so we can all have a Christmas card each or something. And that was it. So, so it's so hard because people kind of like judge people with mental illness, thinking they're freaks. They
No.
mental. It's, and we get a lot of stigma from it, from mental
Mm-hmm.
illness. Right, we're stigmatized, and
Yes.
and it's and I've been trying to lobby Parliament about it at the moment. I've been doing quite a bit about it. And the trouble is at the moment is like no one wants to hear about it. No one. And
No.
I said to somebody the other day, I said, well, anybody can get it, including you.
Yeah.
And until you experienced it, you know, don't judge me.
No.
That's what I say to people.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely, because you don't know. You really don't know what it's like. My husband has a good insight, but I say to him, you haven't been through it, so you don't know exactly what it's like. Yet you have a great insight, but you've got to actually live. You've got to walk in these shoes to know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the most horrific thing because you can't see it. And for the DWP, I find say, oh well, there's nothing wrong with you. Look at you, you're not unkempt. Was one of the things that was said to me, and I was like, really, I'm not unkempt. I look shocking to what I used to look like, and it was like, it's bizarre, and they say it's not physical, but it is, because I
You.
couldn't walk.
Yeah. Yeah. You should
And
try filling. You should try filling in pit forms for
I have,
clients.
I have,
Yeah, and they go put mental illness on there, and you can see how many people is denied.
yeah.
Been pushed back because they put mental illness on that form.
Yeah, I've filled the forms in.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
done it. Yeah, and the page-long documents. And with the mental illness, um, it's just so hard to concentrate to do these forms. It really is.
I know, I know.
It, it, it's, and when you can't read as well. That's the other thing that happens. There's so many things. I constantly got illnesses, flu, chest infections. Week after week, I was becoming ill as well with physical illnesses that you could see. And again, it was as a result of that, you got the side effects of the medications that you put on.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
What used to make me laugh is when they used to say, "I need you to come to a medical," and you turn up and they go, "There's nothing wrong with you." And I'm thinking, well, how do you know? Are you psychic or what? You know what
Mm.
I mean? This is
Yeah.
what it is. That's what you get all the time.
Yeah. Sorry, go
Yeah.
on, Steve.
No, you carry on. Go on, tell me. Oh.
Yeah, no, you're made to feel embarrassed and guilty for being there. That's
Yeah.
what I find. And you have to go through a lot of angst to get there as well. So you go through the trauma, you relive everything. So I know for me, that's what's happened with me. I've had to relive everything. And when I've been to services, I've had 4 psychiatrists because they kept leaving. And every time I'd see a psychiatrist, I have to tell them the same thing over and over again, which was traumatic. And in the end, I said, read my notes and I'll come back when you've read my notes.
Yeah, I remember going to a psychiatric unit once and I was sectioned on the Mental Health Act. I think it was Section 21 of the Mental Health Act. I think it was that one. And they took my shoelaces away, they took everything away because I was really suicidal. And I've never smoked in my life. Never smoked. And all of a sudden, to get fresh air, to get outside the unit, I took up smoking. And I saw a queue of must have been about 20 of us, all queuing up, trying to go out to get a cigarette. Because those people, what was happening is that we felt we were being left for our own devices in the unit. There was no support going on. It was like people were just sitting around. There was like no support groups, and only time you met was tea time, breakfast, tea time, and that was it. Oh, at 9 o'clock for your medication, which you line up for your medication. You know, it was honestly, and we were in dorms. So if someone kicked off, one of us could have been in danger.
Yeah.
So do you know what I'm getting at? So it's you've got to be careful.
That it's yeah, you're talking that you've got people in mental health establishments as well who have drug problems. So although they say they don't take people, you've got to get your drug problem sorted out before we deal with your mental health problem, because that's what they do. So a lot of people self-medicate because of the mental health, and they won't see to them until they've sorted out their drug problem. But then the drug problem is because of the mental health. So kind of a vicious circle, isn't it? But they do have people in there with drug abuse problems. And some establishments, I know they are allowed to leave. In some establishments, go out for the day and come back.
Yeah. But that's only what happens is they do is what they do it is like they do it on trust, don't they? So you've got to be back at a certain time and everything. And I remember one day they got in contact with me and said, "Can I go out for a little while? I'm going to see my girlfriend, but yes, my wife now." And I thought, oh yeah, I'll go and see her. And to tell you the truth, I never went back.
Yeah.
Then the police came and the police came and said, what's going on and everything. So the trouble is, so what really, really boils my pot, I'm sorry, but it's when people who've got mental health problems are not looked after properly from the government. NHS is over. NHS do a really good job, but the trouble is, so when people go into hospital for mental health, have you realised that they're sitting there for ages to get help from a psychiatrist?
Yeah.
And to be
I waited 12 months because they lost my paperwork. Yeah. So I was supposed to be on a 4-month waiting list, and then my paperwork got lost, so I ended up having to go to the back of the queue. So it ended up being 12 months before I was seen. So suffice to say, that's when I did try to take my own life, because I was like, I just can't live like this anymore.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Anyway, so if anybody wants to donate or help in any way, how can they contact you?
So we do have a telephone number. It's on our website, hopestreet.org.uk. So
Right.
that's
Okay.
our website. The phone number's on there. We do have a PayPal link, which is on our Facebook page. We've been having a revamp of the website, so there's a Red Stripe account on there. So we
Right.
just need to make sure that that's up and running. But we do
Okay.
have PayPal on our Facebook page as well. So if people want to donate, we're looking for sponsors as well. So we've had the Rotary Club
Right.
in Ormskirk. They've sponsored us. We've had Co-op Community. They've given us funding. We've had National Lottery who gave us funding. So we keep getting small pots of funding, which is keeping us ticking over for now. But we're looking for big pots so we can open the hub. Because once we open the hub, instead of being open 2 days a week, we're going to be open every day. And we'll be that service that is there for when people are in crisis. So we have the phone number so people can ring up who are in crisis as well.
Well, what we'll do is I will put it onto my support groups, Never Give Up. I will put it onto my website, which, we've got around about like 30,000 people on the website at the moment. And I've just started a radio station 2 weeks ago, so I will definitely put it on there.
Yeah, that's
All right.
excellent. Brilliant. So if people want to go to our website, it's hopestreet.org.uk, and on Facebook we're called We Are Hope Street, and Instagram and everything. That's our community interest company name, We Are Hope Street, but it's with the yellow, you can see on here.
Are you a registered charity then?
We Are Hope Street. There's our logo.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's our logo. So you'll know us when you see that. That's who we are. We are a registered community interest company. We're a social enterprise.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And what else is it? And so we got that. We got that. Oh, got some questions here. Sorry. Right. Sorry about this. If anybody needs to contact you, how do we? I will kind of like put all the details up after this interview. Also, funding. How do I donate? Well, we'll put a link up for that too.
Yeah.
What else is it?
We've got a phone number.
Yeah. Okay.
07903 381 874. So that's 07903 381 874.
Have we got that? Have we got the number? Oh, got some confirmation then. Yeah, we got the number now. Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, Sheila, for joining me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. And
thank you for having me.
That's okay. And I hope that things will get better for you. And and it's going to be tough this Christmas, I know. And
it will get better.
It will get better, and it will get better. And I'm glad that that you're getting better too, and you're getting, and you are. I tell you what, you need a gold medal because you're helping everybody, who needs help,
Yeah.
and through your experience, you're really helping a lot of people and saving their lives. So pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, 100%. You too, Steve.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Have a nice
Bye-bye.
evening. Bye-bye.
Bye. There you go. That was Sheila Burr. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. And you take care, everybody. Bye-bye.